Welcome back to Fast Market here on the Schwab Network. It's time for our cash tag segment. For that, let's bring in Andy Swan. He's a co-founder at Lightfolio. Welcome back to the show, Andy.
Thank you.
All right, so Royal Caribbean, we didn't get to touch on this one with you guys ahead of earnings a couple weeks ago, but this stock, I was just looking at it, comparison charts between its rival CCL, NCLH in the cruise space. Those are both far below their all-time highs. Royal Caribbean sitting right there. Do you guys have the data that kind of backs up that this is the winner in this bunch?
Yeah, Royal Caribbean's the clear leader in the cruise game. We've been saying that for some time. The management team handled this entire 4 or 5 year period exceptionally well, particularly by minimizing their issuance of new equity. They really put shareholders first. They managed their way through it, and then really had a nice springboard to come off of as the pent-up demand for cruises continues all the way into 2024. When you look at the industry reports, it doesn't matter which company you're looking at, they're all talking about the highest level of bookings for an entire year that they've ever had, how far ahead of the bookings game they are compared to other years historically, and the fact that they're able to raise prices all along the way. So it seems like there's not much elasticity of demand. There is extreme pent-up demand, and that's a good place for these companies to be. It's especially a good place for Royal Caribbean to be, because they're clearly the leader in the space and are providing exceptional experiences to people. They're well priced, above Carnival, but giving the same type of high-end experience as some of their more expensive competitors. And so I think they've really benefited. Everything we have at Lightfolio, data-wise, says that Royal Caribbean is doing very, very well. Mention volume is up 22% year over year, and that's off of a really good year. Web visits, which are indicative of future bookings, are at or near all-time highs, and that's after what is normally the peak season of web visits and bookings. That usually happens in the first quarter. This is carrying through all the way to May. And so everything we have, the company's hiring 10,000 more people. They can't keep up with the demand that they have. All they can do is raise prices, and that's still not stifling demand. That's a pretty good spot to be.
Andy, if I had something I was trying to sell, any product, you name it, and I was the manager of a sales team, I would say, try to get the loyalty to our product that cruise lines have to their products. Yeah. Because these are some of the most demand for these cruises never went away, right? The supply got taken away by these boats getting, sidelined, but the demand never wavered, and a queue built up, and they're still, I think, working through that. And you know what? This feels to me, Royal Caribbean feels like the Delta of cruises, because they have one for every price point, right? The Celebrity's kind of the mid-range. The Silver Seas are kind of the high-end, smaller boats, more luxury experience. They hedge their fuel. They do everything right. They're a well-run company. Now, that doesn't mean they're not sensitive to macroeconomics, but boy, the chart on their stock, Andy, it's impressive. Everyone should try to have loyal customers like the cruise lines do.
Yeah, they should. And the other factor there, you talk about that loyalty and the fact that Royal Caribbean, according to our data and some other industry data, when Royal Caribbean books and brings on a new customer onto their ships for that experience, it's very likely that that customer becomes a repeat customer. So the pent-up demand that they had from the 2020 kind of shutdowns, slowdowns, whatever you want to call it, that created a backlog of existing customers, but it also created a backlog of new customers who are coming onto the ship for the first time, enjoying the experience immensely, and rebooking a year or two later. And so their book continues to grow. And I think that's the most promising thing, because, these cruise ships and cruise vacations, I don't know if you guys have ever been on any, but it can go one way or the other.
Sure.
And if you have a great experience and you see, a cruise for what it can be phenomenal. But if you have a bad experience, it can be terrible and you'll never come back. Well, Royal Caribbean is delivering phenomenal experiences to its clients, and they're coming back in droves. And I think that will continue for years to come.
I've been on a Celebrity. I've been on now 3 Silver Seas.
I haven't been on one yet, but I'm starting to get broken down here because if they're doing that well, they must be doing something right. But I definitely need to go on a small one. Andy, I think one of the key things and metrics for Royal Caribbean, they've got their own private island where their boat docks now down in the Caribbean. If you look at this, the name, is that the key to their success, along with probably their management? Is that everybody that goes on these cruises are now spending more. I mean, they're at a healthy load factor of 107% at this point.
Yeah, no, they're doing very well monetizing the people that are coming onto the ship, both in ticket prices and some of these stops that they're able to make. They're able to demand a lot from some of those ports that they hit. The other thing I'd say is, they're in the right space just from a consumer perspective. We talk on here a lot of times about the bifurcation of the consumer, and that is the higher end consumers are doing just fine. It's the lower end that we're worried about. Well, who's really going on a cruise? Who's going to spend lots of money on a cruise, upgrade their experience, really focus on the experience portion of travel? Well, that's people that have a lot of money or that have a considerable amount of money for those experiences. They're focused on experiences. Royal Caribbean is delivering experiences, and I think that just continues. And by the way, they also have the best management team in the business, which is always good from an investment perspective to bet on a horse with a really good jockey.
Yeah, and earnings are past. Would you guys still be an earnings score that's elevated here at these levels?
Yeah, we were elevated going into this earnings. They delivered. The stock was up. I think this is one that you just put on your watch list, and you say anytime it's, kind of thrown out with the bathwater of the market, and you get a nice dip, maybe pick up some shares, because I think it is a long-term winner.
All right, great stuff, great data as always, Andy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, that's Andy Swan, co-founder at Likefolio, breaking down the data in RCL, and I mentioned that